Hey, welcome back. Behind me is my 1956 Volkswagen Beetle. This is known as Eleanore. There's a long story as to the process of breaking this car down and how it wound up on the cover of a magazine. But yes, this car wound up on the cover of a magazine, SORTA. And in order to make a good video, I'm going to give you a long story. I can't just, cut to the chase and make it a 5-second video. It's no fun. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the backstory. I'm going to tell you about some of the players involved. And in this video, I'm going to drop a lot of names. Some of the people you might know who they are, and some of which you may not, and I'm going to introduce you to. So you need to check these folks out. But this oval was something that I had found on a very large trading site that's very popular with a lot of people. And I was just looking on it for Volkswagen stuff, as I do casually always. And just one day I saw a 1956 oval. Eleanore started out in Germany in 1956, where she was built and then imported to the United States market for sale. It survived with the same owner up until 2004, where it was submerged under seawater by Hurricane Ivan, about 6 feet of seawater. This thing was right up to about here under seawater for a couple days, maybe even 3. And then it was pulled out of the garage after that and left outside in the weather to rot for about another 10 years until the next owner got it. And the next owner didn't title it in his name. He had all the original paperwork, and he gave that all to me. So essentially, I'm the second owner of this car. But the car has been resurrected. What used to be green bean, as it was known before by the previous owner, when it was still green. You can still see some of the green around the doors. That's the last of the green that's left on the car. Essentially, I bought it from the first owner, and I still have a copy. I photocopied the original title. I had to have that. Once you turn it into the state and get your copy, it's gone forever. So I made a photocopy of it. And I love that thing. It's it's small. It's only a card about yay big. It's not a very big card at all. This car came home, I put it in my driveway here, and I started to dismantle it right away with my friend William, and we started to pull it apart. And I started to pull off all the stuff on it that I knew was either going to need a repair or was going to need to be replaced. And that pretty much was everything. The car was all rusted all the way around the bottom. The floor pans were nearly gone. The heater channels were completely gone. The bottoms of the doors were finished. Sections of the roof were rusted through. The hood was garbage. The deck lid was missing. There really wasn't much left of the car that was in good serviceable shape. Nearly everything needed to be replaced. I think the only thing that was completely untouched was the oval window in the back. But unfortunately, that got broken last summer during another hurricane. And it didn't actually get caused by the hurricane, but it was caused by me preparing for the hurricane, starting to lock stuff up and put things away. And in the process, the oval window was in my shop, and it fell down and it busted. And I was heartbroken when that happened, completely heartbroken. But thanks to a friend of mine up in northern Alabama, and I never met the guy before, Rodney is his name. Rodney owns a company up in northern Alabama called Metalmorphosis, where he does all kinds of custom Volkswagens and other metal-related projects. I certainly advise that you check him out. You can find him on Facebook. Type in Metalmorphosis, and I'll type it out here so you can understand how it's spelled out. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the video description also at the bottom, along with everybody else that I mentioned in this video. Wonderful guy he is. He donated a back window to me, and I took what I was going to pay for the window anyway, and I gave him an advertisement in our car show, so I paid for his advertisement for that. And he'll be in our show advertised again this year. And Rodney, if you're watching this, I appreciate it. And he's had some mishaps himself this past year. His garage burned down, and it took out, I think, about 3 of his Volkswagens in the process, one of which was his oval. And I hope that he still has a rear oval glass for it, because I know he said he had 2. So I hope that the original one that he had didn't get broken during the fire. So I love you, Rodney, but I don't think I could let that one go to send it back. Alright, as the story goes with this car, as I started to break it down, I started to pull off some of the pieces that were just full of holes, and they were just really messed up, screwed up, damaged. And I had no interest in them. But as I started to post YouTube videos, I started to have people contact me and started asking, will you sell me that damaged this or that damaged that? It's full of holes. And I give them a very, very reasonable price, and I can't believe they even want it, but they take it. They come for this stuff, and they've actually paid to have it shipped considerable distances. I mean, way more than the part was even worth in most cases. I'm upfront and honest with everybody. If the part is messed up, I'm going to tell you it's messed up. If the part is in really good shape, I'll tell you it's in really good shape, and I'll take a picture of any blemishes that you see on it. Well, case in point, I took the 4 fenders off of this car, and I put them up on the sandbag because I had no intent of using the original fenders that were on this car. I wanted to go with the super wide ones that I had bought 22 years ago that have been sitting in my garage ever since. Put the fenders up on the Samba, very popular Volkswagen classified ads site, and I listed them for a little cheaper than some of the other people had theirs on, hoping that they would sell quickly. They were actually in very good original shape. I was quite surprised. They had very, very minimal rust on them. Anything that was there was pretty easy to repair, and there wasn't too much to it. And to my surprise, the next morning when I woke up, I mean, I must have had about 50 emails of people that wanted to buy these fenders. But very few of those people were serious. I mean, everyone was screaming about it, and I have never had an ad with that many responses overnight. But no kidding, about 50 responses, and one of them was Chris Vallone. You may have seen ClassicVWBugs videos right here on YouTube, and I love the guy. I love the guy. He's from up in New York, and I'm from New Jersey myself, so I can relate to him. And when I hear him speak with his accent, you know, it's not that far off from my own. I may live here in Florida, but no, I'm New Jersey natively. I just happen to be down here because I followed work. But he was one of the ones that was interested in these fenders, and I know he's serious. He's got a business, you know. He was trying to rebuild an Oval, and I forget what year it was, but he had found some Oval behind some building somewhere, and he's rebuilding it for a client, and he needed those fenders. So I tried to work out a deal with him, and I was actually about to close a deal with him for 2 of the fenders because he only wanted the fronts, not the rear, when one of my local friends who I owed a favor to, and I just had to do it, I owed him a favor. Sorry, Chris, if you're watching this video. I mean, I really wanted to set you up with those fenders. I really did, but like I said, somebody local guy, I owed him a favor, contacted me, and he says he has somebody that's a friend of his that he knew for a long time up in Washington State that's interested in my fenders and is willing to pay my asking price for them. And I said, well, okay. I said, why is it that you're taking the fenders? He says, well, I'm going to set it up for him. I've known him a long time. We've done a lot of business together before. He says, I'll box them up and I'll ship them. This is the kind of thing that I've done for a long time. So you go ahead and work out the deal for the fenders. He says, you give them to me, I'll work out the price for shipping. And that sounded great to me. Hey, no problem. The only thing I've got to do is just get the fenders to his shop, and his shop is actually about a quarter mile that way, you know, so it was just down the street from here. So that was extremely convenient for me. I didn't have to worry about boxing them. I didn't have to worry about getting to a shipper. I didn't have to pay the shipper. I didn't have to work out price quotes and any of the nonsense. So I got the fenders loaded up on my fastback. I strapped them down to the roof with a blanket up there, and took them around the corner to the shop, and I left them with him. And he was really excited to see the things. I mean, really cheery. And I didn't hear anything about it again for probably about 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month, when this guy's, my friend's friend up in Washington contacted me, the guy who bought the fenders, and he said he hasn't seen them. Do I know if they've shipped? You know, he's paid all this money. Could I go check and see if these fenders are still in his shop, or, you know, what the deal is with it? Can I talk to him and find out what's going on? And I thought that was kind of weird. You know, a month later, I mean, even if you shipped it via flatbed truck, they should have only been there in a couple of weeks. You know, I mean, it's at the latest. And I couldn't understand what was wrong. Well, anyway, I breezed by the shop and looked in the door. I peeked in there a couple times, and I never did see the fenders. I don't know where they were or what the deal was with them. I tried to ask him about them to see if he knew anything about the fenders, and he would always kind of blow me off. Oh yeah, I shipped them a long time ago, or, you know, they went out, and, you know, I was getting a lot of smoke blown up my ass, and apparently so was Jeremy up in Washington State. Well, anyway, he did one day get a tracking number, finally, after much fussing and fighting. And then it turns out my local friend here wound up in jail, and it turned out that he has absconded with some equipment that didn't belong to him, and then pawned it. So, I mean, it was 2 crimes. He took something, and then he sold something that wasn't his, and I mean, the police just threw the book at him. He went to jail, and he was in there a while, and during that time he lost his business, and his business shut down, and, you know, once again, wondering where these fenders are at. I mean, are they going to turn up? What the hell is the deal? And I felt really bad for Jeremy up there in Washington, and being in the best interest of customer support. You know, I'm only an independent guy. You know, I'm not some big box brand store, but I really wanted to give him a refund. But at the same time, he had a tracking number, and he was dealing with somebody that was shipping them that wasn't me. So I was in no way responsible for at fault. And I was kicking around some ideas, or maybe I can give him half the money. I mean, I'm still ahead of where I was. It shouldn't be too big of a problem, and it won't kill him as badly as it is. But the fact that he had a tracking number, he figured he should watch it a little more closely for a little longer and see if these things do turn up. He said he had a box or something disappear once before for about a year. I think it was he who said that, and one day it just showed up at his door. So that's what we were hoping for. And the tracking number always showed that the package was sitting right here in Pensacola, and that it never left Greyhound. It was actually right there in the warehouse. After contacting Greyhound multiple times by Jeremy, Greyhound always just gave him, you know, we don't know. And that's not good, really not good, but the tracking number always stayed there. And I think it stayed at that location for maybe 3 months. It might have even been a little longer than that. Then all of a sudden the tracking location just jumped. I went from Pensacola to, boom, Washington. And Jeremy contacted me. He says, I don't believe it. He said, the boxes are here. He says, my fenders are here. And I couldn't believe that. So he really quickly started tearing the fenders apart and fixing some of the rust damage on it. And it turned out, and I'm really sorry for this, but the main reason why he wanted them from me is because they were jungle green, which matched his car. But as it turned out, they were sapphire green underneath. Somebody had repainted it in the interim, and I didn't know that. I mean, I had no idea. When I bought this car, it was named the Green Bean, and the car was just green. I had no idea. The only other color that was on it was rust, and it looked pretty bad. So anyway, he got those fenders, he started working on them, he put the car together, and the car, as you may know, it is known as the Dirty Pickle. And Jeremy at the same time started building another Beetle, which he called the Gray Goose, and it was a very beautifully patinaed gray. I forget what year it was. Got it put back together, he cleaned it up, and he beautifully shined it. I mean, the thing had this tremendous gloss on it. And the funny thing is, it just happened to get sold to somebody down here, just north of where I live, right here in Alabama. So my fenders went to Washington for his one car, and his other car got sold and came here. I mean, just what a bout of serendipity, I guess is the best way to put it. And I think that I'm using the word properly. But the car wound up here. So he put the fenders on the car. And then, to my surprise, he went and bought himself a Porsche 912E, and he gave his Beetle, the Dirty Pickle, to his daughter. Well, anyway, fast forward about, I give it about a year later, my fenders wound up on the cover of Hot VWs. So, the life that Green Bean, previous to being Eleanore, donated some of her wonderful body parts to what you see here on this car. So those fenders were my fenders. They did belong to I said Eleanore in her previous incarnation, known as Green Bean. And this is Jeremy's daughter, Taylor. And she's a good-looking girl, real nice family. I mean, Jeremy is just a wonderful, wonderful guy. I mean, he didn't demand a refund from me. He told me he was going to pay me for those fenders, make sure that I get them to where they're going to go. I mean, everything that he said he was going to do, he followed through with. And if I'm ever going to do business with him again, I mean, I will have no doubts in my mind. To see his business, if you've got a Facebook, you want to look up VWLooseNuts LLC. And he's got a fan page on his Facebook where he posts up his projects that he's working on, and some of his other fans also post pictures of their projects, and I need to get on there and post a little bit more of my stuff. I do most of it here on YouTube, but this video will probably wind up over there too. So if you've got a Facebook account, you want to hop onto Facebook and look up VWLooseNuts LLC and like the page. And you'll see Jeremy's project, you'll see the Dirty Pickle that his daughter has, you'll see his 912E, and one of the other things that he's well known for is building safari windshields, like the one you see here in the illustration. That's one of his. He builds them for all different kinds of Volkswagens, not just buses. I'm sorry, not just Beetles, but also buses, and he does rear windows. You can't really see it too well in that photo there, but he's got the rear oval popped out on there too. And I don't know anybody else that makes such a kit, but that's something that he does. That's part of what his business is. And there he is there in action. And I don't do a whole lot of plugs for businesses, but if you want to see Eleanore part on the cover of a magazine, hop into your favorite local bookstore or gas station that does sell Hot VWs and take a look at this cover. Once again, those fenders that you see on that car are actually mine. Well, were mine. Here's the rear one there. Now, there it is in the photo, and you can see what's left of the scratches in the paint, and I can compare that to the photos of my oval when I got it, and what the scratches look like on there. So I will demonstrate that in this video. You'll be able to see that. But yeah, Hot VWs magazine. You're gonna want to check this out. Those are the fenders that came off of my car. Now, always when you watch my videos, I want you to go ahead and click the like, thumb it up. I want you to subscribe to my videos. I really need that, you guys. I mean, it's really important you hit that little subscribe button that's over here. Click the little ringer bell that's next to it so you get an update every time that I upload a video. I thank you very much for that. It motivates me to make more videos. Tomorrow is Thursday, and on Thursdays I usually get a lot of time off. Sometimes I don't. But I'm going to try to make a bunch of videos all at once in one day, and then I can do the editing during the week, and I think I can get more videos up that way. So I'm going to give it a best shot to do that, and more updates will be following. So thank you guys for watching. I mean, I couldn't have made this channel grow without your support. I couldn't have done it without your likes and all of your subscriptions. I just rolled over 13,000 on Duckman Cycles and over 8,000 on VV the Duck VV. I think Skeeter herself has 1,400 or something. So I mean, when you roll them all up, it's a little over 22,000. And I still can't believe it to this day that many people are following me, and it continues to grow. I mean, it grows by the hour. I get more subscribers, and it's just tremendous. I still can't believe I have that many of you out there to support me, and thank you for that. Thank you for that.